Krishna everyone. Bhagavad, chapter 25, text 18.
Can you give this to about a story?
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 18.
As you like. It's okay.
Jnana, knowledge. Vairagya, yuktena, bhakti, yuktena, cha, atmana, paripashyati, udasinam, prakritim, cha, hata ojasam, jnana vairagya yuktena, bhakti yuktena chatmana, paripashyatyudasinam, prakritim cha sato sajasam. Jnana vairagya yuktena, bhakti yuktena chatmana, paripashyatyudasinam, prakritim cha hataujasam. Maharaj?
Vairagya yuktena,
Jnana vairagya yuktena,
bhakti yuktena, chatmana,
bhakti yuktena chatmana,
paripasyatyudasinam,
paripashyatyudasinam,
prakritim cha hataujasam.
prakritim cha hataujasam.
Jnana Vairagya Yuktena
Jnana vairagya yuktena,
Bhakti Yuktena Chatmana
bhakti yuktena chatmana,
Paripashyatyudasinam
paripashyatyudasinam,
Prakritam Chahataujasam
prakritim cha hataujasam. Jnana vairagya yuktena, jnana vairagya yuktena, bhakti yuktena chatmana, bhakti yuktena chatmana, paripashyatyudasinam, paripashyatyudasinam, prakritim cha hataujasam. Thank you. Jnana vairagya yuktena,
Jnana vairagya yuktena,
bhakti yuktena chatmana,
bhakti yuktena chatmana,
paripashyatyudasinam,
paripashyatyudasinam,
prakritim cha hataujasam.
prakritim cha hataujasam.
Jnana vairagya yuktena, bhakti yuktena chatmana, paripashyatyudasinam, prakritim cha hataujasam.
Jnana vairagya yuktena,
Jnana vairagya yuktena,
bhakti yuktena chatmana,
bhakti yuktena chatmana,
paripashyatyudasinam,
paripashyatyudasinam,
prakritim cha hataujasam.
prakritim cha hataujasam. Jnana vairagya yuktena, bhakti yuktena chatmana, paripashyatyudasinam,
यहाँ पर मेरे क्वेश्चन हो
prakritim
जाएगा
cha
hataujasam.
इसे ट्राई करना है
ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तेन
Jnana-vairagya yuktena,
भक्तियुक्तेन च मनः
bhakti-yuktena chatmana,
परिपाश्यति उदासीनां
Paripashyat Udasinam
Prakritim cha hataujasam.
Prakritim cha
Hataujasam Jnana Knowledge Vairagya Renunciation Yuktena Equipped with Bhakti Devotional Service Yuktena Equipped with Cha and Atmana by the mind Paripashyati one sees Udasinam indifferent Prakritim material existence Cha and Ata Ojasam reduced in strength. Jai.
Of self-realization by practice of knowledge and renunciation and devotional service, one sees everything in the right perspective. He becomes indifferent to material existence, and the material influence acts less powerfully upon him. Purport: as the contamination of the germs of a particular disease can influence a weaker person, similarly the influence of material nature or illusory energy can act on the weaker or conditioned soul, but not on the liberated soul. Self-realization is the position of the liberated state. One understands his constitutional position by knowledge and vairagya, renunciation. Without knowledge, one cannot have realization. The realization that one is the infinitesimal part and parcel of the Supreme Spirit makes him unattached to material, conditional life. That is the beginning of devotional service. Unless one is liberated from material contamination, one cannot engage himself in devotional service of the Lord. In this verse, therefore, it is stated, Jnana Vairagya Yuktena. When one is in full knowledge of one's constitutional position and is in the renounced order of life, detached from material attraction, then by pure devotional service, Bhakti Yuktena, he can engage himself as a loving servant of the Lord. Paripashyati means that he can see everything in its right perspective. Then the influence of material nature becomes almost nil. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. When one is situated in self-realization, he becomes happy and free from the influence of material nature, and at that time he is freed from lamentation and hankering. The Lord states that position as Mad Bhaktim Labate Param, the real state of beginning devotional service. Similarly, it is confirmed in the Narada Pancharatra that when the senses are purified, they can be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. One who is attached to material contamination cannot be a devotee. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitang Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalang Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupang Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sarvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusuta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Ancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation: in that position of self-realization, by the practice of knowledge and renunciation in devotional service, One sees everything in the right perspective, he becomes indifferent to material existence, and the material influence acts less powerfully upon him. Very amazing point. Amazing verse. Lord Kapila Dev instructing his mother the glories of devotional service. So we are hearing here, Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. Here we are hearing something very, very revolutionary, extremely revolutionary concept, that this material world is so extremely important. It's saying here, when one sees everything in the right perspective, he becomes indifferent to material existence. That is interesting. Normally we are very attached to material existence. We're attached to the things of this world. We take this world as so real. But this is the difference between a self-realized soul and a conditioned soul. The self-realized soul, they are free from the contamination of the illusory energy. Prabhupada says just like the disease, it acts on the weakened conditioned soul. Self-realization is the position of the liberated state. So with this knowledge and renunciation, what happens naturally? One gets detached. There's the verses of the second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. They describe this, right? Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Jnanayati Asu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yadahoitukam. That this causeless knowledge and detachment, they arise from devotional service. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. So how detached are we from the world? That we have to see. Because the more we are attached, we cannot engage in devotional service. In fact, Prabhupada is saying here, one cannot begin. Now that's crazy. I thought we've already been doing devotional service. We're doing so much. We come to the temple, we render service. I began devotional service many years ago. Prabhupada says, when one comes to this platform, at that time, it said one's devotional service, the Lord states that Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param, the real state of beginning devotional service. So we can add, are we doing devotional service? Of course, there's levels, there's degrees. But the pure devotional service is beginning after this liberation from material nature. Brahma Bhuta, Prasanatma. When one is completely, I like this word, prasanatma, or peaceful. Because as long as there's agitation in our mind of the modes of material nature and material attraction, then the consciousness cannot be detached. Then we are not able to really access devotional realm. Of course, these are very elevated topics. The Bhagavad Gita is not just a beginner book. We're talking about, the Bhagavatam, I'm also going to reference Gita, but the position of self-realization, what we're hearing is such a high topic, actually. So myself personally, I cannot say I'm on this level. I cannot really speak on this from realization. But I can share from what I understand, from my intellectual understanding of this point. This is the same point we find in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is describing the modes of material nature. And this is so remarkable in the 14th chapter, the modes of material nature. Krishna is saying how one gets free from the modes of nature. So how do we come out of this material attachment? And he gives the answer. Does anyone know the answer? Yes.
How to get out of material attack?
Yes.
Notarspashas Tokanteya, Shitasna Sukadugata, Agama Paino Nityas Tangsatikshasu Bharata.
Can you explain?
The non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course. I like the appearance and disappearance of the winter and summer season. They arise from sense perception of sign of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed.
Very good. This is very, very similar to the point we're making, the need to tolerate. But in the Gita, in the 14th chapter, Krishna explains a little more with a little more details. So let's try to hear this and think, how could this be possible? One who does not hate illumination. If you want to pull it up, it's Gita 14:22. So Arjuna asked him, how does one get free from the modes of nature? That's what we're talking about. What are the symptoms of one who's transcendental to the modes? What is his behavior? And how does he transcend the modes of material nature? So we could think so many answers Krishna could give. He could say by doing bhakti, by doing devotional service. And this is the answer that he gives, which is arriving on the big screen momentarily. 22. The Blessed Lord said, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, nor longs for them when they disappear, who is seated like one unconcerned, being situated beyond these material reactions of the modes of nature, who remains firm, knowing that the modes alone are active. So these are the symptoms given, that he is actually becoming indifferent to the influence of the modes of nature. So this is incredible. Why? Because in our mind, the modes are active and we get so attached to our mind. We get really held on to different thoughts that we have. But the liberated state, actually they're not attached, they're not averse, they become indifferent. They become indifferent to the material nature. The mind is just material nature. So the actual formula for transcending is to develop this indifference. And it's not it's not a impersonal, but it's based on, Prabhupada says in this verse of Bhagavatam, through devotional service, one will become indifferent to the material nature. Then a deeper absorption in the Lord can take place. Let's see how he describes this. One who remains firm, knowing that the modes alone are active, who regards alike pleasure and pain. Yeah, I wasn't sure what a clod is referring to here, but it says a clod. Piece of earth or dirt. Who looks on a clod, a stone, and piece of gold with an equal eye. Isn't that amazing? How many of us have done that? Oh, there's a stone. Oh, there's a piece of gold. All right, whatever. Oh, there's a broken iPhone. There's a brand new iPhone. They're equal. No, based on our attachment, we really go for what we are attracted to. But the self-realized soul, he's living in the same space, doing all the same things, but his consciousness is not absorbed in this realm. He can see everything on that equal platform. And then devotional service begins. Brahma bhuta prasanadmana shochatina kanchati samasarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim. What is it? Labhate param. Then the higher devotional service begins. So this is worthy of our contemplation. The true devotion will begin when, as is mentioned here, one becomes indifferent to material existence. Now, this cannot be done artificially, that, oh, I don't care about you, I don't care about this, I don't care about the phone or the gold. The devotee is able to do it for Krishna, but that's his advantage. That's his platform of detachment and devotional service, that he's seeing that gold, But he's not thinking, yes, I love gold. He's thinking, okay, here's something else. We can use it for Krishna's service. And saying, oh, that's the latest iPhone. I really like iPhones. And he's saying, okay, maybe we can use this in devotional service. How can we engage this? I think this is profound. I always remember this verse from the Gita, but it's a little enigmatic to really understand how that works. One who's wise and holds praise and blame to be the same. How could you hold praise and blame to be the same? So now we're getting more subtle. You have the gross matter, then we have subtle matter. Our mind, our intelligence, our ego. It's also material nature. So ultimately, one also becomes indifferent to those actions of the material energy in the form of their subtle form. Someone praises you so much, we like that. Someone blames us, we hate that. We hate that so much. Nothing really gets us than being criticized or blamed, or the mind will come with unlimited, infinite ways to respond. But this person, they are holding praise and blame to be the same. So just imagine they're beyond all of that unnecessary absorption in the material energy. They're just remembering Krishna. They don't care if someone praises them or blames them. One is unchanged in honor and dishonor. And again, like we were mentioning last night, how important these qualities would be to develop, to actually have a functional world. As long as we're so caught up in these things, then how can there be peace in the world? Bhoktram yagya tapasam sarvalokeshar. Who can quote the verse? Suhridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. So, if we want the real peace, we have to follow Krishna's formula. Treating friend and foe alike. We talked a little bit about that last night, how to really respect the soul, who's abandoned all fruitive undertakings. Such a man is said to have transcended the modes of nature. So this is the symptoms here. Arjuna was asking, how can one recognize? What are the symptoms by it's known that one has transcended the modes of nature? So these are the symptoms. And the process is actually mentioned in the next verse. Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahman. He comes to the spiritual platform. So too often our consciousness is assailed by the influence of the modes, by material concepts of life, material conception of life. But a self-realized soul, they are in the same place, the same atmosphere, but their consciousness is beyond. Once you get beyond that attraction and aversion, then that deeper peace comes to the soul. And from that Brahman or peace, the spiritual platform, then one can actually engage in the Lord's service. So we are practicing Bhakti Yoga. We're practicing to come to the level of devotional service. And that devotional service is so deep. It's like, a doorway or a tunnel to the spiritual world. You have to undergo this process. We won't get there until we get over these things, these obstacles, attachment, aversion, seeing everything different. Prabhupada says, Jnana Vairagya Yuktena, when one is in full knowledge of one's constitutional position as in the renounced order of life, detached from material attraction, then by pure devotional service, bhakti yuktena, he can engage himself as loving servant of the Lord. So this is part of the process, and that's why bhakti is a very, it's very scientific. You know, you have symptoms, you have other spiritual paths, they are, in my experience, they're unable to give such detailed description of what does it mean to actually serve God or love God. But here we have such formulas. That's where it's a spiritual science. And that's ultimately what distinguishes Krishna consciousness from other religion. This is not a religion. This is not meant to be a religion. This is meant to be a spiritual science. Religion is for a certain culture, generally certain groups, ethnic groups, they identify with religions. So we're not meant to be that. We're meant to be a universal spiritual science, which is applicable to everyone universally. And this is very attractive message. This is very important in today's world, that we actually have something revolutionary. We're not presenting just another religion. We're presenting the spiritual science of God consciousness, which can be relevant to any religion you follow. We don't ask people to give up their religion. Prabhu said, just add Krishna. And here the science of Krishna is being explained. And these points are very important for us to contemplate. And the fruit will come of being able to actually engage in pure devotional service when one will no longer have the last line of this purport. One who is attached to material contamination cannot be a devotee. So as long as we have some type of material attachment, we cannot really be a devotee. So it's a high bar. It's a high bar. It's humbling. And we should not avoid that point. Yeah, we should be honest that we are far from devotional service. We are far from being a devotee, because one who's attached to material contamination cannot be a devotee. So, you know, humility is our friend, to be honest and to really kind of accept where we are. That's not a bad thing. That's a very good thing. That's a good asset that will help us. Because our ego is the obstacle, you know. If we think already we're doing devotion and we're great, then likely we might be living in a dream world. If we want to get Gaur Nitai's mercy, they are Patita Pavan, savior of the fallen. So if we don't think we're fallen, then how will they save us? They're willing to save the fallen, but we have to accept that we're fallen. So we should pray very feelingly before the deities every day. We need their mercy. When will they engage us in devotional service? And when can we come to the pure platform where every word is a song, every step is a dance, the flute is the constant companion, all the trees are desire trees, all the soil are purpose gems, where numberless Goloka cows amid transcendental oceans of milk, all the living entities there are tasty, they're beautiful, self-effulgent spiritual forms, where Krishna revels in his land of Vrindavan, where we're getting access, we're getting invited into his world, in that beautiful realm known as Svetadvip, which is known to only a very few self-realized souls in this world. So the Bhagavatam, the hymns of our Acaryas, our founder Acharya of this Sampradaya Brahma, the Brahma Samhita, they reveal what's beyond our sense perception, that realm which is accessible by pure devotion. So there's so much that can be said. Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai. We are meant to meditate on that realm, just as the caterpillar, Prabhupada gives example, meditates and then becomes a butterfly. So if we meditate on Krishna's abode, his activities, then we also become transformed. Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mameva vaisasyitam te. So always think of me, and this will help us get a positive attraction and not just a negative aversion. Not that we're just averse to material nature. No, actually we're attracted to the spiritual nature. By that attraction, our aversion will come about naturally. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Is there any question or comment? I think she had a question earlier. Okay.
I was just going to add to your conversation, if that's okay.
Yes, of course.
I was going to share the verse, chapter 7, verse 14 in Bhagavad Gita, the Daiviyesha Gunamai. To transcend the modes of nature is simply to surrender to the Lord, and you were discussing that. And then also, when you spoke about for one who is still attracted to material contamination cannot be a devotee, I was thinking even those who are renounced, they don't have any so-called material objects or anything, still they could be materially contaminated because they could be attached to being renounced.
Attached to?
Being renounced.
Yeah.
Like they're seeing that.
It's very subtle.
Subtle, yeah. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Taivi Yesha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratyaya. I'm forgetting all the verses today. Usually I'm Yeah, so surrendering to Krishna, it sounds easy, right? In that verse, it's easy to quote it, but that means this very intense acceptance of devotional life, devotional service, to accept what's favorable, reject what's unfavorable, the 6 limbs of surrender. It's a very elaborate, beautiful process. Thank you very much for adding. Okay, yes, Jagannath Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
I noticed some parallels between this class and last night's class. And I had a thought, question that came to me when you were talking about it yesterday. You were saying that you had to take a break from that noise and just meditate for a little bit. I was wondering what that meditation is. Is that like japa?
I don't follow that exactly. Break from what noise?
Oh, the rap music.
Oh, so what's the question?
So the question is, you said that you had to take a break, like breathe for a little bit, and then meditate.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point, because I think what I meant to, sometimes we have this process where we have to resettle our mind. The mind can get easily disturbed or agitated. Sometimes we have to resettle it. So in that sense, that type of meditation is not exactly like samadhi. It's like coming back to the situation, taking another look at the situation, and analyzing it in terms of knowledge. The mind will judge someone or become upset with someone, but then we have to go back and see, hey, that's a spirit soul. So I just took a few minutes to reevaluate the situation with knowledge rather than out of ego, to see that, okay, this is a jiva. The jiva is the eternal constitutional servant of the Lord, worthy of very great respect. And why they're acting in a negative way? Because they're under the influence of the modes of nature. We can't blame the jiva. It's the influence of the modes. We don't blame. I mean, that's not how we deal. We see that they're victimized, so they're worthy of compassion. So in that way, just by resetting our mind, then we can feel again at peace. So that's important. We have to do that sometimes. I think you all have experience of that. Sometimes we get a little agitated and we have to say, oh, hold on. Now the problem is that if we're not attentive, we may not notice it. And then we will start reacting and being unsatisfied and being rude or disrespectful without knowing why. Why I'm not feeling proper, because we weren't observant enough to see what caused it. And this is a big problem also in making offenses. If we make offenses, especially to great devotees, if we're not very attentive, we may not know why I'm struggling, why I'm not feeling the mercy. It's not necessarily the only reason, but sometimes it can be that we've made some kind of offense, but if we're not attentive to that and we don't recognize it, then the consequences can persist. So we want to be always on guard, be always observant of our consciousness and see if it feels like it's going down, why? And then how can we kind of reset? Maybe we need to offer obeisances. In the case of one particular example I'm mentioning, it's not that always that's the case, but occasionally it can be that. Is that okay? Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, I think we stop at 8:30, is that right? So I think we'll stop here for now. Thank you all very much for your kind attention. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Usually on Monday mornings, we do an announcement of the Sankirtan scores for the week. Jai. Yeah. But yeah, since last Monday. And so for the pleasure of Shri Shri Gauri Tai, Lord Nrsimhadev, Prahlad Maharaj, Tulsi Maharani, and Guru Parampara, and especially His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, as well as His Holiness Dhanavir Goswami and all the assembled devotees will announce the scores. Okay. So we're not yet hiccup free with our points calculations. But this week we had, there was 6 book distributors. Haribo. Okay. You have a number there? Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Verse 12.
Ram, 12, 18.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, 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 Hare Hare.
Okay, so coming in sixth position with 3 magazines, 8 small books, 7 medium books, 6 big books, and 6 Maha big books, for a total of 22.75 book points. Jagannatha Sarivaro! And in as a team score, we have 6 magazines, 10 small books, 2 medium books, 9 big books, and 2 Maha books, for a total of 24.85 book points. The Mataji Sankirtan team, Haribo, including Swapnam, Sarvamangala Mataji, Radhastali Mataji, and as well as Akarshini Hariprana, and also Bhakti and Sarah. Haribo. Okay, so let us have a highlight from the
Can I share my
Sankirtan
book
team.
scores for the last week?
What was that?
Can I share my book scores for the last week?
That'd be amazing.
Just for book distribution, Seva. Last week, we had a festival in St. Louis, and we did a lot of small books, we'll say about 30, 5 Maha, 5 big, 9 medium. Haribo.
And if anybody didn't report, then you can send the scores. Anybody here that had some? Okay. So I'll show some pictures of the Harinam that we did, and we did a double dip Sankirtan day on Friday and Saturday. So there were some photos from that. Let's see here if I can pull some up. Friday we went out to First Friday, which is a monthly art festival. Let's see here, where were those? That was the Saturday Harinam here. And Friday, I didn't have any. So Saturday, I'll show some of those photos. Let's see. And Mataji, you can also give a report if you want to share something. Yeah, maybe if you remember any of the people or any of the interactions from the ladies' distribution.
Hare Krishna. I don't have any reflections from the other Matajis, but for myself, my husband was teaching me some Spanish, so I wanted to try. And so I saw this family that I was really hoping spoke Spanish. So I approached them and I tried my line. And it was really funny because at the end of it, he was speaking to me and I was like, I'm really sorry, this is all I know. And he's like, why'd you speak to me in Spanish then? You know English, I know English. And that really, that was really nice because he was even more encouraged to take the books after that. And so yeah, he took he happily and patiently waited for some books and made a nice donation to spread Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan mission. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai.
I think we may even have that interaction.
Yeah, I'll give mine. My highlight was, when was it? It was on First Friday, actually. We were doing some Harinam, and I was trying to sell the Bhagavatam unsuccessfully, but so I saw, we were doing Harinam, and I saw this couple across the sidewalk from us, and they had been there for like 10, 15 minutes. So I was like, either they're waiting for somebody or they really enjoy the kirtan. So I just decided to try and go up to them and see what I could do. And it actually turns out that I talked to them, and they said, the female actually, she said, is this Bhagavad Gita? And I said, yes, this is Bhagavad Gita. And she said, my dad used to be a Hare Krishna, and I have all the books. I think she was talking about Srimad Bhagavatam. She said she has a big set of books, and she has Bhagavad Gita and everything like that. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And we talked a little bit, and I just thought it was really amazing that her father was a Hare Krishna. She said his practice kind of like mellowed out after a little bit, but she said she's getting more interested in studying the books and stuff like that. So, what else? I think that's about it. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. She got the Bhagavad Gita for her husband, even though she had one. So yeah, that's it. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai.
Okay, thank you very much, devotees. Please let us know if you'd like to
I had
distribute.
a story.
Yeah?
Story.
Oh, yes.
I was in St. Louis. We did an Earth Day event. We had a nice booth, and we were selling some prasadam to purify the public. And with the income from that, we could give everyone a small book. But then I went around to try to meet some people. And another thing I was doing there was helping start a Bhakti Yoga club at a university. And I happened to meet 4 students just like towards the end. And then one of those students who was very favorable, you know, there was people who are there who they don't know so much about our temple, and they ended up being, you know, they took a book, and then they were very interested and ended up helping our club, and will probably end up being an officer for our Bhakti Yoga club there, a Nepali student. So that was really cool, because sometimes we think, oh, there's no need to kind of go for that last person, but this was towards the end. And then we saw that actually, you know, sometimes we have crazy stories right at the end. Some special mercy comes. Krishna's going to test us.
Yeah, we still got more work to do, you know.
Yeah. Always good to push it a little bit at the end. And then another, I was just having a lot of really nice interactions with people. They were so happy to see the books. So it's so important that we're out there, because like we said, the world is like a desert, and we're bringing a little water. So we may not see it, but what we're bringing is so valuable. And so then I was just distributing books, and I looked on the bench, and I was like, hey, those people look very familiar. They look like devotees. And there happened to be just some devotees who happened to be in the park from Florida. They just happened to be in the park that day. They didn't know we were like having a whole booth and set up. So I was distributing right next to them, and then they just appreciated. They just gave me a donation anyhow because they're like, "This is really great what you're doing." So it's good for us. It's good to inspire others also to do the yajna and get that mercy. Jai Shri Prabhupada, Bhakti Sri Ki Jai.